every time they remake or reboot a show or a movie, it just feels like watching fan fiction.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to, like, remakes and reboots, movies aren't usually engaging enough for me to sit down and finish. Mm-hmm. If it's not a topic I'm interested in. And considering a lot of Disney movies have, like, more romantic plots to them, like, I lose my focus very easily. Like, I'm not paying attention to the movie anymore. I've gone to a different place in my brain thinking about something else.
Which is why they took that one scene out of Pocahontas, and I will never forget it. I will never forget or forgive.
Yep.
But that's the next Disney princess. They can't go off in Pocahontas right now. But yeah, it feels like fucking just watching a fan fiction. Because they'll change things here and there, but the core characters will be the same.
That's not even one of the good ones.
Sometimes. Okay, like the new Monster High series is a good fan fiction. I don't know. It's got its downsides, but it's also got some really good points. But it very much feels just like watching a fan fiction. Especially when they, like, ripped apart all the couples and were like, we're gonna put these two instead.
When it comes to them changing things up for remakes, I genuinely don't care. Like...
It depends on what they change up.
Like... Yeah, I'd be weirded out if suddenly two people who were siblings were suddenly not siblings and now they're dating. Like, that would be weird for me.
That would be weird.
That would be really fucking weird for me. But recently, Harvest Moon game was remade. Like, Story of Seasons remade A Wonderful Life. And there were some name changes. Specifically, they made these name changes to be more in line with what their Japanese names were. Mm-hmm. Like, because at the time this game came out, the team that was localizing it did its own things. Like, for the most part. And a lot of people are really upset at these name changes. Despite the fact that's what it was originally in Japanese. Like, not like the original Japanese names. Like, they had, like, the romanization of what their name was. Like, like Mashu was for Matthew. But he got named Marlin in the original game. Like, things like that. So, like, they gave some people names closer to what they were in the original Japanese localization. Because Natsume just went off the deep end and, like, the place was supposed to be called Forgotten Valley. Natsume went, we're going to call it Forget-Me-Not Valley. No. The opposite meaning to the valley name.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people up in arms about these name changes, and my brain is like, bro, why are you angry about this? It makes no sense for you to be angry about this. Like, I explained to some of these people how I think. Of just, like, the idea that this character goes by this new name now. And the character in particular that I use this example with the most. Her name in the English localization by Natsume was Muffy. Her name now is Molly. I'm still not sure if that's close to her localization name in Japan, because I think her name in Japan was Mumu, or Momo with 2 O's to elongate it. Momo probably would have been a better name for her, but her name is Molly now. And so many people are up in arms and just like, I will never call her Molly.
Well, it's fine, you don't fucking have to.
She's like, you don't have to, but my brain is just thinking about this scenario of the new farmer comes into town, is told, oh, hey, I'm Molly. And they immediately go, no, your name's not Molly. Your name's Muffy. I will never call you Molly. Your name's not Gavin. It's Griffin. This isn't a cafe. It's a bar. And that's all I could think of.
Some people have nostalgia, man, and they don't like
Some people have nostalgia, but my brain just goes, damn, imagine a character introduces themselves as Molly and you just go, no, your name's not Molly. Your name's Muffy. I will never use your actual name.
Christ.
And I told somebody this. And they went, are you implying that people are dead naming the characters?
I'm fine with some name changes. I'm not fine with, like, bigger changes. Like, if they just take characters out. Like, Mushu, not in the new Mulan. I don't mind the addition of characters sometimes. It depends on how it's done. Like, additional characters to make a one-dimensional character feel more well-rounded makes sense. An additional character just to add angst to a story that didn't need angst to start with? I'm not here for that.
So, I'm not a huge Disney fanatic, and
yeah, I'm not either.
I don't really have a lot of stories. The only thing I can really say is that they remake a lot of video games, and they turn out a lot worse.
That's true. That's true. You and I are both fully aware.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, they remade the DuckTales series, and I really enjoyed the remake. I didn't watch past the first season, but the first season I really fucking enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really fun. Fucking who's doing?
A lot of horror games, they'll get like a lot of
Don't get me started on horror movies.
Or horror games. They'll have a lot of people playing like Resident Evil, so they'll redo the most popular ones, but they'll do it so shitty. They'll change so much, and people are like...
The thing about the Resident Evil remakes, call them out, Resident Evil, they just make the people characters look realer.
Yeah.
So it's like a remastering as opposed to a remake.
Like, it's a remastering. They really harp on we're making our characters look as realistic as possible. And, like, I'm not necessarily vibing on games like that.
No, some of Leon's hair is just too much. I'm like, bruh, it does not need to look that nice for him to be killing people. Resident Evil.
I've never played or watched Resident Evil.
Yeah, but...
I'm not sure it's entirely worth it. It's a very convoluted storyline, and it's always changing.
Yep.
I'm dumb. I need that shit just, like, spoon-fed to me. One of the things that makes me mad, I'm gonna go off on fucking Wednesday. I disliked Wednesday, the series, so fucking much.
Yeah.
I was fine with their casting. Their casting needed so much more direction.
Like, they had bad casting.
They had bad casting.
A bad script.
They didn't have bad casting. They had bad direction and a not-so-fantastic script. And I understand you have a story. You have to drag them out for a certain amount of episodes. However, it should have been better. They took very central points of the Addams family and just... No, not doing that. We're doing regular family angst in this bitch. I'm like, no, that is the opposite of what the Addams family is about. You just wanted to throw in this stupid fucking academy. For no reason. This could have been its own thing. Nevermore Academy could have been a show. They decided they wanted to make it Wednesday, and that was shitty of them. Because they also didn't do research, and they kept calling Wednesday's ancestor Goody Addams when Goody was just a fucking title and not a goddamn name.
Are you passionate?
A little bit, yeah. I've heard this more than once.
It was like reading a bad fanfiction. I can't.
It's like someone was like, I want to write Addams Family fanfiction, but I want to put my family angst into it.
Yes.
To cope.
Wednesday felt like a poorly done, out-of-character self-insert.
I mean, as a fanfic writer, I do recognize sometimes your characters aren't going to be
100%
100% accurate. Because, like, the only person who can 100% accurate a character is the person that conceptualized them and put them out there.
Mm.
But I try to, like, when I'm writing out characters and shit, I try to stick as true to what I have as possible while still, like, integrating my own things. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with fanfiction.
I don't think there's anything wrong with fanfiction, but the point is fanfiction is that nobody makes money off of it.
Yeah.
So when these large corporations pour so many resources and all of the money into making more money off of something that doesn't belong in the canon universe, essentially, I just get, like, mildly annoyed. I don't know how much of this is applicable for Mulan.
Listen, the thing with Mulan that gets me is in the original, like, from what I know, like, it's been ages since I've seen it. They are hinting that the officer likes Mulan even before it comes out Mulan is a girl.
Yeah.
So, like, bye, Bri?
Bye, Pride. We're not in Pride Month anymore, and I didn't draw Shang, but he was there.
God, imagine the difference of Mulan. Of he's like, oh my god, I love that guy. But then it turns out the guy is a woman. He's like, oh, I'm Mulan. He's like, oh.
Never mind.
He's gonna be like switching sides.
Suddenly he's just like, oh, I'm not interested in you anymore. Mulan would have been a different story.
It would have been a very different story. And Disney wasn't ready for that story at that time.
They weren't.
Disney is still not ready for that story in this time, and that's kind of sad.
It really is sad.
I've seen a,
I'll make a man out of you.
Bum, bum, bum. Get you a friend like Mushu, though. Mushu believed in Mulan streams.
Yeah.
Mushu was kind of forcing them to happen for his own personal gain, but he apologized by the end of it.
He's like, look, I was trying to do this for my own personal gain, but girl, I
Dishonor on you? Dishonor on your cow?
Write this down. Dishonor on your whole family. God, that one scene where the ancestors are all getting together and just, she gets this from your side of the family. Well, not from my side of the family. My kids all became acupuncturists. Well, we can't all be acupuncturists. Y'all remember Mulan 2?
No.
No? Never
No.
watched it? It was weird.
I'm sure I did, but I don't remember it.
They made Shang really weird and temperamental. Okay, so like half of it had to do with the fact that the Emperor's 3 daughters are getting married. And he is basically auctioning them off and asking Mulan, Shang, and Qianpo, Ling, and Yao to escort them. But on the way, the girls fall in love with Mulan's friends. Like, some wild shit goes down. Shang dies, and Mulan offers herself up as the bride so that the girls can be happy, but then Shang comes into like, I object, and shit like that. It was really fucking weird.
Really weird.
Yep, nope, I don't remember it. That's not I watched it. That didn't jog my memory at all.
Pretty sure it was just like a direct-to-home video sequel.
It was one of those direct-to-home video sequels that Disney was so fond of doing.
Out of all of the Disney princess movies I watched, Mulan was the one I liked the most.
Because it was the best fucking story.
And, like, I could have done without the Mulan Shang shit. Because, like, I don't particularly care for seeing romance in my shit. But, like, I do get it's a natural part of life for people.
That one doesn't bother me as much as, like...
Sleeping Beauty, Aladdin. Mulan is at least not problematic.
I didn't mind Mulan
Problematic
as much
in the
because
sense
it
of...
wasn't, like, very in your face.
It's not very in your face. And
it wasn't a central point of the story.
Not a central point of the story. Like,
it was like a little afterthought, a little treat.
Just
for those romantics out there.
Just for the romantics. But, like, the whole point of Mulan was she didn't want to be some wife. She wanted to fight.
Not quite true. Mulan wanted to save her father, and she didn't want to be the family fuck-up.
Fair.
And she accomplished both. She saved her father and married the general, I guess, because his dad died in the war.
Yeah.
I don't know how rank gets succeeded in military stuff. Don't at me.
Generally, it's something that's written. Like, they declare who their heir would be in case of death. And that is not always the oldest child, but
well,
in the sense of, like, if they do have multiple children, like, the oldest male is always the head of the family, unless it's written otherwise that they want someone else to be the clan head in case something happened to them.
Oh,
and during that time period, because men had multiple wives and multiple children by different wives, sometimes those wives would engage in subterfuge against each other to try to kill the other kid and kill the wife, so their kid would have the higher chance of becoming someone high-ranked important to the emperor. It's also common in Japan.
I assume Shang was a general because his father is, like, giving him a battalion, essentially, in the beginning of the movie.
Makes sense, yes.
And then, like, Shifu was supposed to oversee him, and Shifu was like, you will never become a general like your father, or whatever.
A family obligation, big in Asian countries.
Yeah, but that guy died.
Bye, bitch.
Bye, bitch.